Afternoon, good evening, everyone. I see that we are live, and quite a few of you who have started trickling in on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon, evening, whichever city, whichever country you're joining in from. A very, very exciting masterclass is in store for you today. But before that, very quickly in the chat window, I would love to know where our participants are joining us in from today. Which city are you dialing in from? I'm from Mumbai, and I know I have a lot of interesting people here to meet you from Cleveland, Ohio today. So, in the chat window, if you could let us know which city you are dialing in from, where are you coming in from? We have Faiza, who's from Manchester. If the others can let us know in the chat window which city you're coming in from. Someone from Delhi, India. Hello. Uh, Anyone else who's joining else from anywhere else? It would be great to know. We have people from Udaipur, Kolkata, Ahmedabad. Anyone who's from outside of India, from Africa, from any other region, do let us know. Like I said, we have a very, very, very interesting masterclass today. The topic is, of course, smarter decisions, stronger skills, AI in the hands of tomorrow's leaders. And yes, all of you who are tuning in, future aspirants, this is your future. AI in your hands for your future tomorrow. What are we going to be talking about in this masterclass? So, well, we're going to be talking about how AI is changing the way in which everyone is working. Also, in this session, you will hear from the faculty at the Weatherhead School of Management and get an inside look at the xLab, which is a hub for digital innovation and AI. I am personally very excited to know a lot more about what goes on behind the scene, what it means for industries, for the education sector, and what the future of work is going to be for everyone. For those of you who are just tuning in, like I said, we have the Weatherhead School of Management at Case Western Reserve University with us here today. They are based in Cleveland, Ohio. Can anyone tell me in the chat who is a famous personality from Cleveland, Ohio? I can see Maria raising her hand, and Maria, you can definitely go for it during your presentation. Uh, it is a renowned institution that blends innovative business education with a strong focus on leadership and, of course, sustainability. They do have one of the most beautiful buildings out there in Cleveland, Ohio, as well. Without taking much of your time, I see we are close to 200 plus people in the audience. I'll do a quick round of introductions. Starting with myself, my name is Sabahat Herzog. I'm the Senior Associate Director at Seed Global Education. We are a UK headquartered company which facilitates interactions between top global universities like the one that we have with us here today and prospective students like yourself, giving you a chance to connect with the faculty and the people behind the scene at these institutes, thereby helping you make the right sort of choices for your career and your higher education. Joining me on the panel today is Celeste, who is the Director of xLab and Research Administration at the Office of Strategic Research Initiatives at the Weatherhead School of Management. Celeste, thank you so much for taking out time and joining us. She's going to be talking about the xLab, which I said is a hub for experiential learning, where students tackle real world business challenges through generative AI, digital transformation. So, a lot of exciting things. Along with her, we have Professor Wang. Thank you so much, Professor Wang. Uh, he is an assistant professor of banking and finance at the Weatherhead School of Management, where his research and teaching focuses on economics, behavioral finance, and of course, the evolving role of AI in decision making. So, we are going to be picking his brain at some point and also learning what more is he doing with the students at the school. And of course, last but definitely not the least, we have Maria, who's also here. She's the Associate Dean of Recruitment and Enrollment at Case Western Reserve University's Weatherhead School of Management. She has over 20 years of experience in the higher education field. And yes, Maria is your go-to person. If you're someone who's looking to apply to Case Western, yes, you need to get in touch with her and she will help you throughout the process. Great. So while we wait for a few more people to sort of trickle in, I'm going to start by running my first poll question for the evening today. On the screen in front of you, when considering graduate study, what would you value most from a program? Are you looking for opportunities to work on real world industry projects? Are you someone who's interested in learning directly from the expert faculty in AI and management? Are you looking to, get access to networking opportunity, meet new people? Of course, your network is your network. Or are you someone who's looking to build skills that are globally relevant and future ready in today's work world? I'm sure a lot of you will be loving to get all of this from most of the programs offered, but let's pick the top one on your priority list. On the screen in front of you, when considering graduate study, what would you value most from a program? The options are there. I'm going to keep the poll running for a few more seconds before I go ahead and publish the results on the screen. So would request all 280 plus of you in the audience to go and cast your vote and let us know, when considering graduate study, what would you value most from a program? There are a few options available with regards to work opportunities, industries, AI and learning, networking opportunities, getting skill ready, etc. Thank you to all those who have answered. I'm going to go ahead and publish the results on the screen in front of everyone. We have close to 67 people who mentioned that they are looking for building skills that are globally relevant and future ready, closely followed by opportunities to work on real world projects, etc. With that, I'm now going to invite Celeste to please talk to us and let us know more about the various innovations taking place at the xLab at the Weatherhead School of Management. Over to you, Celeste.
All right, so you can all see my screen right now? Thumbs up?
Yes, yeah.
Good. All right, so I am the director of xLab. xLab is a center in the Weatherhead School of Management. Weatherhead is Case's business school. And so xLab is a center here, but we work with students from cross campus. And we say our sweet spot is combining next generation talent with next generation technologies. I'm not in slideshow, am I? And when I'm presenting, whoops.
You can just go on to slideshow
go.
mode. Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry about that. And so we say that our sweet spot is combining next generation technology with next generation talent. The talent is all of you, our students. And then technologies are digital innovation, a lot of artificial intelligence, machine learning. So we work with companies on sponsoring companies. We combine projects. Our projects combine students and companies on projects in digital innovation. So companies work with us as clients. They pay for these projects. And then the students work with us as part of a course. It's a 3 credit hour course. And so why work with xLab? Why do companies want to work with xLab? Why do students want to work with xLab? I actually use this slide for both my student presentations and my company presentation. One of the reasons is like you guys just said in your poll, you want to learn how to your coursework on real world projects. And so this is all experiential learning. There are no tests and quizzes. It's all you're working directly with a client, with other people on a team. The teams are about 4 to 6. And so you're working directly with your client on a real thing. So because the companies are paying for this, this is not a charity project for them. This isn't something that they're doing because they want to feel good that they're helping you out. This is something that they will employ in their environment later after the project is over. It's something that they've had on their back burner that they want to do. So that leads us into developing the next generation solutions. So a lot of our projects have a proof of concept, or I heard from a customer yesterday, he thinks of it as a proof of technology project. So even if he can't necessarily use the technology now, it can prove out something that the technology works, and that he can then try to tailor what they're doing in their environment to that technology. And it kind of gives them a way to see how the technology could be used in their environment. The teams are all students, and they are collaborating directly with their companies. They are also overseen by a faculty mentor like Professor Wong and others that we're working with here. We have professors in our design and innovation department at Weatherhead. We also have a professor in our computer science department from our School of Engineering. So we are working with faculty across the campus. And then innovate. We're designing different solutions, and we do put a focus on ethical and responsibility when we're designing these innovation solutions. We try to incorporate as much data privacy as we can. Our faculty director from computer science has actually created a platform for collecting data, which gives the user control of that data. So we try to incorporate that into as many projects as we can, so we're not just collecting people's data all over the place. The different students that we work with, obviously we work with business students from our own school at Weatherhead, but we also work with students from our College of Engineering, computer and data science students, And then we also work with anthropology, cognitive science, psychology students. We put these students together on teams of 4 to 6. So it's a multidisciplinary team. Everybody is working together like you will work in the real world on teams with people who are different from you, different backgrounds. It's also not all master's students. We have undergraduate students, we have master's students. We also have some PhD students working with us, and they are all working together on these teams directly with their corporate client and their faculty mentor. What are the types of projects that we do? So they generally fall into 3 different buckets. We have a user customer discovery market research bucket where we help a client figure out, this might be they have an idea about a technology, but rather than just going forward and implementing it, why don't we see different ways that other companies are using this technology, see if their company is even ready, if they have the data for this, if this is something that they could use. We also are working with a non-for-profit right now that is a very old public market, and they have no data at all. They're still mostly cash-based. And so kind of just experimenting out their customer base, seeing how we can expand it. Would a digital solution help in there? So that's one of our first type of projects. Sometimes that one will roll into a second phase. So that's like a phase 1. Sometimes the project will roll into a second phase, which then becomes that proof of concept or proof of technology, where we're trying out or creating a large language model or an AI tool for them to use. So in the past, we have had we've worked with an insurance company that has created an AI chatbot for onboarding employees. We've worked with a company that got their data, their sales data through third-party vendors. And so we created an AI bot that could kind of clean up that data for them. And then lastly is a new area for us that we are working on, which is creating an artificial intelligence roadmap for companies and doing an assessment for them, assessing where their organization is in their AI adoption, what their different employees are using AI on, what are some things that we think they could be using AI on, like what are some what we call low-hanging fruit, easy ways that AI can be adopted into their organization. And we give them a roadmap for that. And then that can also lead to future xLab projects. So here's some examples of projects that we have worked on. One of those market research projects that I mentioned before, it was exploring the financial habits of Gen Z. We worked with a large national bank. They wanted to update their mobile banking app. They said that their app was not used by anybody, but especially Gen Z, and it needed to be redone. It was just a horrible app. And so we countered that with, the problem might not be in your app. Not the problem, but the difficulty might be that this generation, Gen Z, which is I believe like the 18-year-olds to the 27-year-olds, I just made up that range, but it's somewhere in there. They might not be using banking apps at all. You know, we increasingly, your banking apps are inside of your other applications, like your Starbucks app or your YouTube app. They're already just right there. They might not need to go to their banking app for that. And so we studied the market, studied what the financial habits and ideas and goals were for this student generation. And we're able to present that back to them. And then, yeah. And so then another one we do is that's privacy preserving data architecture I mentioned before. We've created, our faculty director from computer science has created a spin-off company that he calls Halo Harbor, and that has created a privacy preserving web-based application that gives user control over their data. He has a dashboard that I've seen, and users can go in and specifically click on the different applications they use. So like Reddit or Spotify, and say, yes, share my data from this. No, don't share my data from this, with the end user, which would be a corporate, which would be a company. So like an insurance company or a health company. And so there's a lot of implications there. They are implementing that this semester with a large insurance company that is looking to get into home insurance and is looking at using IoT, Internet of Things, and putting different sensors in people's houses to help them try to find an insurance claim before it happens. So find a leak in their hosing and plumbing before that leak becomes a huge problem for them, a problem for the insurance company. So there's obviously a lot of security thoughts there around having, you know, your insurance company have that kind of data from your household. And so putting this architecture into that is a really interesting way to see how that works. And so they're working on that this semester. And then I mentioned earlier that we had a customer service training using a generative AI. So that was the company came to us and wanted to onboard their customer sales representatives faster. They're people who were in their call centers who were taking all their insurance claim calls. And so we created an AI chatbot, and I believe Professor Wong led this team. We created an AI chatbot that could help train those employees. Typically their training, their onboarding was about 12 weeks. I think this reduced it to around 2 weeks. And the chatbot's pretty cool. It's all text based, but also verbal. I can talk to it. And it will simulate a customer. I think that's the way it is. It's the customer, and I am the insurance rep. And so you can put it on a couple different modes. You can make it a happy, nice customer, or you can make it an angry, frustrated customer. And then this is our team. So Sining Wang, who is assistant professor in economics, he's our associate faculty director of student experiences. So he's the guy who helps our students and really helps build out the curriculum with me and make sure that all the different project teams are getting similar experiences. Erminaide is our computer science faculty director that is leading that Halo Harbor project, me. And then we have Stefan Agamanolis, who is in our design and innovation department and leads several projects for us as well. And that is all of my slides.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Celeste. That was super helpful. I'm sure everyone's had a chance to know more about xLab and quite a few questions which are coming in. But before we jump into the questions, I am going to ask Maria to present. But now that we've heard about the xLab and what it has to offer, Maria, very quickly, I'm just going to run my second poll question for the evening, which will be on the screen in front of everyone in a bit. So great. I have launched my second poll question. Now that you've heard about what the xLab has to offer and what AI does, what aspects of AI excites you the most for your future career? Is it driving innovation and business, which it's going to bring? Is it enhancing creativity and helping you with problem solving? Is it improving governance and decision making at your workplace? Or is it shaping the future of workplaces? New jobs, new tech, a lot of new innovations coming into the marketplace. So on the screen in front of you, my second and my last poll question for this evening is, which aspect of AI excites you the most for your future career? Quite frankly, for me, it's all of them, but I would have to take a hard choice and choose one, just like you have to do. So I'm going to keep this poll running. We're close to 400 students in the audience. If you could let us know what part of AI excites you the most. And we will definitely be taking up your questions once we're done with Maria's presentation. And I am going to be doing a short Q&A with all of our panelists here today before we start taking the questions in. Great. I'm going to now go ahead and share the results on the screen in front of you. So 38% of the audience is looking at enhancing creativity and problem solving, closely followed by those who are looking at shaping the future of the workplace and others. So thank you so much, everyone who participated in the poll. Maria, over to you now. Let the audience know a lot more about what Case Western Reserve University has to offer.
Yeah, well, I want to give a shout out to my colleagues here. Thank you, Celeste, so much. Celeste is also taking on all of our experiential learning at Weatherhead School of Management. So congratulations. She has really been the hub of these interactions, and across the school through faculty and through different programming, there's so much applied learning within the program. So I just wanted to give you a shout out, Celeste, for for establishing that initiative. And so one of the things that I want to share with you that will help kind of to understand who we are here at Weatherhead beyond xLab and Professor Wang's work here. This is more about the collective. I love Sabahat's poll because you're interested in learning more about innovation and problem solving. And we know here at all business schools, I believe so, but also here specifically at Weatherhead, it's about solving these complex challenges. And they run across healthcare, education, in the financial sector, and in throughout sustainability. And so across our programs and across the different centers that we have on campus, we work to address those. But really a hallmark is really becoming more expansive in that. So we hope that once you leave our programs, not only do you have the knowledge, but you have the skills and the attitudes and the ways in which to think about solving some of these complex issues. And our dean, who's top right, giving a welcome speech to our students at orientation, loves to use the term unpretentious excellence. And so you heard Celeste talk about the companies that we're working with here. These are multinational, global multinational companies and local companies here in Cleveland. So I think when we talk about the insurance company, one of them is Progressive, which I'm looking at Celeste for a nod. Yeah. So that's one of a large insurance company here in the US. And so we have these connections to really help support our students as well. But the way in which we go about that is really recruiting great talent like yourself to join the community here at Weatherhead, people who are going to be audacious leaders, are willing to push past some of the barriers, really be curious to figure out how to solve some of these issues, because they are management issues, right? And they also are complex technical issues. And we have a great resources here on campus. You heard a lot from Celeste about innovation, and that's something that you're seeking. So I think, you know, when you come to campus, there's plenty of opportunities for you to really explore ways in which you can be creative while learning foundational elements within programs that we've established here in our master's community. I did see somebody in the chat ask if we have exchange programs, and we don't have exchange programs, but we do have ways to bring students here to campus from international locations all across the world and really being supportive of them. So we are embedded within the Cleveland, Ohio community, and part of our dean's mission is to really create a much more synergistic ecosystem, not only within Northeast Ohio, but even globally. So we have our alumni teams are out, you know, not only across the U.S., but the Case Western Reserve has sites all over the world. And so we just want you to know that there's opportunities to connect in, not only locally, but much more broadly as well. And we like to say that Weatherhead starts with we, and what you've heard from Celeste is really this idea of the art of AI. We have two AIs on campus that we like to talk about. One of them is appreciative inquiry, which is based in our organizational development department, which was formed, you know, over 50 years ago. We're one of the first people to ever have an operations PhD. So, you know, by looking at our organizational behavior, thinking about our operations research and our innovation, we have a really wonderful way to think about both humanity and also how we're moving forward with technology. So it is a wonderful blend. And I loved what Celeste said earlier about sustainability and really thinking about what that means as we approach some of these projects. So this is just a nice view of Cleveland here in the Midwest, and Sabahat gave us a lead. I wonder if you've already figured out who one of the most famous athletes are. We have a few of them, but I always like to make the joke about, I don't know if they're as famous as Rohit Sharma in Mumbai. I don't know. We'll have to, it's a debate. You'll have to let us know in the comments. But if you've heard of LeBron James or Simone Biles, those are two legendary people from, and now Travis Kelce, I feel, and Taylor Swift are becoming a thing because Travis Kelce's from Cleveland Heights. So there you go, if you're in pop culture. So I talked a little bit about our programming and some of the offerings and certainly some of our faculty members here, but just wanted to give you a sense of like the different departments and the ways in which our students interact. And again, you know, we've been pioneers across many disciplines, and you can see the friendly faces on screen. And last but not least, when we talk about Weatherhead Begins with We, these are some of our student profiles here. So Yvette Noriega is already a PhD candidate who chose her MBA, and she comes from Texas, so Southern US. Luke Connor moved here with his partner, joined the full-time MBA. He comes from hospitality sector and is now thinking about going into consultancy. Christina Moreda Martinez was actually a Case undergrad and continued on with her supply chain management degree and just graduated recently. And of course, we have executive programming as well within our school. So these are all of the programs. We have 11 graduate degree programs. Some of them are online and part-time. And if I were in your shoes, as you're thinking about taking on this journey and this brave journey to travel across the world to study and to earn and continue to grow, part of the programs that we have available are accountancy, business analytics, supply chain, and finance. And so those are the programs that we have specifically for our all of our either early career or mid-career professionals who are interested in moving over to the US and taking these on. I would go through all of the value of each of these programs, but I think that might be better for a one-to-one session should you be interested. There were questions about funding your education, and while I won't go deep into this today, I want you to know that there are resources, not only institutional aid like in scholarships, but we also have a couple of fellowships that are available for students. Most students usually take out some form of a student loan or a private loan, and then there's other funding available. So those are all great once you've been admitted, and we can have a conversation about that, but certainly being educated about funding your education is important. And there are a number of nuances to that. So skipping forward again. So next steps that you can take are please attend some of our events online. I'll drop in the chat where you can find those, especially if you're interested in any one of those very specific programs. That will give you a taste of what our students are experiencing, who the faculty are, and kind of what you can expect to get out of those programs. We can also set up one-to-one sessions with our admissions directors. So Stephanie Nunley, Kiara Vance, and Steve Scheit are all available to meet with you one-to-one, as part of like our community building and who we are as a team and who we are as a school is really much led by this personalization. And so we hope that we connect with you one-to-one and can have some communication in that way. So I know that I'll send all the stuff in the chat before we head off. And then also our faculty are excellent resources and happy to connect with you. So lastly, when we talk about admissions, these are some of our admissions deadline dates upcoming. So we have a couple of big dates up here, November 4th and January 13th. For international students, we want you to apply by the 13th at the latest. We know that there have been incredible difficulties with visas this year for the US, so we want to make sure that we have a great timeline to solve for that going forward. We also have a team here at Case Western Reserve that is outside of Weatherhead, but who work and support all of our international students, and they are tremendous resources here. So we have a wonderful team, both at Case and also at Weatherhead, willing to support and be helpful for you. Some of our requirements is that you have an undergraduate degree and you have some years of experience. You can also have 0 years of experience before applying to the master's programs. And so again, we'll host application tips, webinars, and provide you with some other details for our program overviews. But the application is all online, and I will add that to the link too. And if you are attending this session today, I'll add the application fee code waiver so that you can use that so that your cost for applying is 0. So I think that's all for me today. This is some of the contact information. You can contact me directly, or you can contact our admissions team. But again, Sabahat and Seed, thank you so much. And Celeste and Professor Wang, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maria. That was very insightful. And yes, the next deadline is coming up. So I would highly encourage all those of you who are looking to apply to please go and get started. Great. Before we move into the audience Q&A, I am now going to be taking some time with my fellow panelists here and speaking to them on a few topics, asking them a few questions, of course, which would be helpful to everyone present in the audience today. Professor Wang, since we haven't heard from you since the beginning of the session, I'm going to start with you. My first question to you, of course, is, we've all been talking about AI. It's such a buzzword in today's world. In your view, what makes Weatherhead's approach to AI absolutely unique and a unique experience for those students who are looking to come on board?
Okay, Sabahat, thank you for asking this. I think that is a terrific question. And during our earlier presentations, I also see a couple of questions from audience relating with this. And here is my take on it. So when we're actually hearing about AI in business schools, the focus is often on the hype, if you will, or on the learning of few technical tools. But to me, what makes Weatherhead approach different is the way we embedding AI into the core of management education. So we see AI here as both of the technical capability and the length at reshaping our student thinking, learning, and leading. So there are a few dimensions. One is integration. AI is connected to decision-making, to strategy, to ethics, and of course, to leadership. You can imagine accounting students might explore how AI can analyze the financial statements, while economic students wanted to simulate market with AI agents. And for MBA students, they study how AI influence organizational cultures. So this is a cross-disciplinary reach that creates a much deeper learning experiences, just comparing with how AI can be used as a tool. Another dimension I want to highlight is application. And like Mario and Celeste already pointed out, a hallmark of Weatherhead is that students get work directly with industry partners through xLabs and other collaborations. Companies like Celeste, if it's okay, I'm mentioning their name, Progressive, Penske, LG, Samsung, Eaton, Park Place Technologies, they bring real challenges into the classroom. And the students apply the AI tools and the techniques they learned to those projects so that they're going to gain insight into both of the potential and the limitations. This is a very hands-on exposure to build practical confidence, and it goes far beyond some case studies or toys you're going to play in the classroom. A third dimension I would like to say is critical engagement. We wanted our students to evaluate AI outputs with the same rigor they would apply to any other analysis. That means examining the assumptions, testing reliability, and reflecting on ethical implications. The emphasis is on using AI thoughtfully, making informed judgment, and recognizing when human oversight is essential. So when I think about what actually make our Weatherhead unique, I would say it's the blend of integration across disciplines, applied work with industry partners, and a culture of critical evaluation. So the result will be graduates who understand AI as an approach of innovation and leadership, and who are prepared to guide organizations in using it responsibly. That's
Thank you.
my
Yeah,
short version
thank
of the
you.
answer.
Thank you so
Mhm.
much, Professor Wang. That sounds very interesting because, of course, irrespective of what specialization that you're looking at, they do have something which is integrated across all disciplines, and that should help you, uh, be future ready as such before you head
Absolutely.
into the workplace. Great. Celeste, my next question is for you. How does xLab connect students with real companies and projects during their time at Weatherhead? So, we've spoken about the industry connects, the ethical implications, etc. What does xLab do to connect these students with companies so that, like I mentioned earlier, when they get into the job force, they are work ready, they are future ready as such?
So xLab is a course. Students get course credit for it, and it's working directly with the company. So it's not, when you're on an xLab project, you're not going through Professor Wong, you're not going through me as your liaison to these companies. We have a point person from the team, a student point person who talks directly to the companies. We also engage with the companies and ask them to come here several times throughout the semester, as well as we've taken field trips to the company's headquarters if we can. If they're in Cleveland, we will go to their headquarters and meet with their leadership team there. And so there's a lot of networking opportunities for students. I shared in the chat, somebody had asked a question that almost every company that has worked with xLab, there's only one that I can think of that has hired a student either directly from their project. One of their student team members, they hired them as an intern so they could continue the project work in the environment during an internship. Or I've also had some of my companies who have called me later and said, I saw a resume from a student who is now from a student who graduated, and it had xLab listed on their resume. And I knew right away that they had gone through a rigorous program. And so they're in our short list to hire. So it gives you something that you can put on your resume. Most of our students listed as similar to an internship, where they can list the company that they've worked with and talk about the work that they've worked on.
Great. Thank you so much, Celeste. That was really helpful. I'm gonna go back to Professor Wang. Since majority of our audience present here today is international students who are looking to apply to the US, who are looking to apply to Case Western. For students coming in from different educational backgrounds, I'm sure in India we have 3-year degree programs for certain courses versus a 4 years degree for certain other courses, etc. So students coming in from different educational background, how accessible are the courses in computing economics and AI? Sorry.
Okay, thanks for the question again. And I do love this question because a big part of my work is actually design courses, trying to help renovate our curriculums. And the one thing I've learned in the past few years in teaching these courses to students with a various background is that our students are actually coming from very different starting points, both technically and in terms of their culture. So some may have strong programming or math skills, while others may come from business school, social sciences, or even humanities. And to me, the key is to design a learning experience so that everyone can participate meaningfully. And I can give you a couple of quick examples. In our computational economics, we started with the concepts and the intuition before we dive into the technical details. For instance, we will begin with the idea of how an algorithm learns a pattern, just like how humans learn something from observations, or what it means for a model to be biased before we ever write any line of code or doing any of the mathematical computations. Then, as students get more comfortable with the idea and intuitively they got, oh, I see where it comes. Then we gradually build a technical depth. We also emphasize on collaborations because of, for me, I think the diverse students' background is an advantage for Weatherhead. Students often work in teams where different strengths balance each other out. Someone with a stronger coding skills might help with implementations, while some with a business background brings in the context of how to apply those results. I also provide a mentoring and scaffolding so that students feel supported no matter where they started. Another example I can share with our audience is a new MBA level course we recently launched called Fundamentals of AI for Management. This class is designed specifically for students who may not have a technical background, but wanted to understand how AI is reshaping business practices. In that class, we cover the history of AI as a background, the core concepts like some machine learning techniques, algorithms, and the large language models, but on a very, very intuitive level. And then the real focus will be case studies where AI is already transforming the industry. It is very applied. Students get hands-on exposure to the tools. They see in real time how the tools are actually working. But the emphasis again is on decision making, ethics, and leadership with AI instead of actually coding it from scratch. So my answer to this question in general is yes, the courses are very accessible. We intentionally keep that in mind when we're building any course or trying to do any improvement for our curriculum. The goal is not to make everyone becomes a computer scientist or a data scientist, but to help our students from all backgrounds, whether they are future economists, managers, or entrepreneurs, become confident in using AI tools and approaches in their own field.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Wang. That was really helpful. And I know quite a few questions in the questions which have come and revolved around this topic. So I hope you all are able to get some clarity and understand as to how all of this can work for you. Building on to the same question, Celeste, can you share how students coming in from different diverse cultures, academic backgrounds contribute to the AI projects at the xLab?
That's really, I think, the secret sauce to xLab. That's what makes xLab special, is that we are looking to put teams together that are different. We don't want a purely cognitive science team. We don't, or a computer science team is what I meant to say. We also don't want a team made up of just MBAs. We want the students to all have different diverse backgrounds, different academic backgrounds, and all be working together, because that's how we work in the real world. Maria, Sining, and I are all very different backgrounds, both from what we've lived and learned and what we studied in school, and we're all working together on this and other things here. And so that's what we're looking for when we choose our student teams, is how can we put these different perspectives on a team to tackle this challenge from the company.
Great, great. Thank you, Celeste. So we've spoken about someone coming in from different academic backgrounds, different cultural backgrounds. Maria, I'm going to rope you in. Could you speak a little bit about what sort of support is available to international students, who are coming into the US for the first time? Most of them are leaving home for the first time, going to a different country, right from uh, the point where they start with the admission process till they sort of come in and get settled on campus.
Yeah, thank you, Sabahat. This is really important to us. And one of the things that we've initiated in the last year, thanks to Seed, is also helping to use the AI tutors for visa support. So I think that that's been really helpful, especially for people who are headed into interviews. So that's one. But personally, everybody who's here in admissions works closely with candidates. We set up a number of webinars that will take place probably starting in January, with getting accustomed to like US, making sure that you have all of the resources around like finding housing, making sure that you're connected to our current students. We have an amazing team that does student services and support and career development that will meet with students even prior to joining to talk about their goals and what to expect out of their career development, which is really wonderful. But what I would say is that's what's happening on the enrollment side when we are working through some of those nuances. I did reach out to our students just recently, knowing that I would be coming to this, event, and I asked them like what were really some of the highlights. And in that, they basically said that those connections to faculty, connections to current students, and connections to students who have just graduated have been really helpful, right, in figuring out where to live, where to stay, what to be prepared for. One of our students who served as a grad assistant wrote a list of like 40 different things that you should be aware of before you get here. And so all of that is in place. And then, as I mentioned before, at Case Western, we have there are 3 staff, and I'll actually put the link in the chat so that everybody can take a look. We have a wonderful International Student Center. They provide an awesome orientation. Our visa services office is outstanding. I received really good feedback from them just recently. So there's a number of different support systems, but I'll add that to the chat. That way people can take a look and learn a little bit more about what's happening outside of our admissions team and our student services.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maria. That was super helpful. So for anyone who's looking to apply, any day is a good day. Get started, get in touch with the admissions team at the university. They're all super helpful and willing to help. I've met quite a few of them on the road from Case Western. And of course, get in touch with alumni, reach out to people. Your network is your net worth. So yes, get started. With that, Professor Wang, I'm going to bring you in for my last question for you. How do you think AI can help students develop the critical thinking and problem solving skills employers are looking for? Again, these are big words. Everyone's been talking about it. People want to know, hey, how do we get this done? So if you could shed some light on that.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you again for asking this excellent question. And before actually jumping into your question, I'd like to give our audience a little bit of background on my background because my research is actually in this field. So beyond my teaching, my research explores how humans interact with AI systems, how we learn from them, trust them, or delegate decisions to them. And I use experiments, behavioral theory, and computational method to understand how AI are shaping human decision in education and beyond. From my teaching observations and research, one common concern people raise is whether relying on AI might weaken students' own thinking. This is very common. And in practice, I have seen actually the opposite. When AI is used thoughtfully, it actually creates more opportunities for our students to sharpening their reasoning skills and critical thinkings. Because AI can handle repetitive or mechanical tasks very quickly. For instance, it can summarize a large amount of information, highlighting patterns in data, or generate initial draft for an analysis. For those type of jobs, in the past, students may spending a week just to get the basics done, but now they can get it done under hours. This speeds up the process of getting the raw insight. What becomes more important for students is deciding what to do with those outputs, whether they are reliable, whether they are meaningful, and how they connect to real problem at hand. That act of interpretation is where critical thinking actually come in. In our courses, we always encourage students to treat AI as a partner in inquiry instead of just a tool. So they learn to design better questions, test results against their own understanding, and compare outputs with alternative sources of evidence. This back and forth process forces them to think carefully about assumptions, about logic, and about the limitations of those AI tools. And to me, that's exactly what we mean by critical thinking. AI also creates a safe space for experimentation. This is a field that, to me, being under-evaluated or under oversight for now. Students can quickly try different approaches, see a variety of perspectives, and evaluate trade-offs. For example, when working with a case study, students might use AI tool to explore multiple strategic options and then reflect on which one are realistic given the organizational context. Without the help of AI tool, usually when we're spending 30 minutes on a case discussion, there's only one possibility out of a group. But now we can have multiple of them and having a much richer content for discussion. The technology actually lowers the cost of exploration, but the responsibility for judgment still rests with our students. So from an employer's perspective, we are thinking about the future when our students are actually on the market. That's exactly the skill set they wanted to see. Students who are comfortable engaging with advanced tools, but who are also bringing curiosity, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills. By working with AI in a structured and reflective way, students strengthen their analytical mindset and their ability to make well-reasoned decisions. So those are the qualities that will remain valuable no matter how the technology evolves, in my opinion.
Very, very insightful, Professor Wang. That I'm sure that's very helpful. Shabaz, Guneet, quite a few of you had asked questions about this. I hope this sort of answers what you're looking at. Celeste, I would like to bring you into the conversation, and this will be my last question for you as well. What kind of support does xLab give students who are exploring careers in digital transformation and AI innovation specifically?
Absolutely. So xLab, what students are working directly on these projects, so they kind of get to get their hands on it. But I do want to iterate something that Saning had said earlier, is that we're not expecting every student to come in here and be the computer science student, the technical student, the student who's coding. You know, we need we need people who can do other things as well. And so who can kind of cover those roles. And so this kind of adds on though, but gives students a chance to interact with these tools, learn about these tools, learn the way businesses are using these tools. And then they're also connected with companies directly. And so have chances for internships and job opportunities that they can work on their own. You know, they are connected directly with these companies and these people who could help them find even other opportunities that aren't in those companies.
Great. Thank you so much, Celeste. Always helpful that, yes, you don't need to come in from a specific background. Everyone's welcome. Get a chance to learn more. Maria, my last question for you. We spoke about the kind of support that Weatherhead provides students who are coming in to the first time. Let's talk a little bit more about how does the university sort of help international students who are looking for career opportunities in the US after graduation, as return on investment becomes such an important factor for all of these international students who are planning to go there and get into the job market.
Yeah, I want to first start by saying that we've had students who have had success. And I also love to have the real talk because I think for international students, I think there's added complexity and I don't want to kind of sugarcoat the challenges. One of the best things that I learned that was so insightful when I traveled with you, Sabahat, across India was that in India, many times students are granted kind of like their next step or their next placement after undergrad. And so a lot of it is like coming to you, whereas here in the US, it's very much, you know, you really have to take a lot of initiative in building your network, connecting with alumni, connecting with, you know, different departments here on campus, connecting with faculty, and really utilizing all of these resources. We have a great career development team that has initiated a ton of new events. We just had a Meet the Firms event this last week for, I think, the accountancy program. We have dedicated staff towards each of the different specialty masters who are working with individuals one-to-one with career coaching, resume reviews. Our entire orientation, at least 2 or 3 days, was focused on really building the foundational skills around the resume reviews, mock interviews, and then also an etiquette lunch. So we had somebody who was an etiquette coach come in and talk, and we talked about like how you when you do get an offer, what is the best protocol with that, making sure that your verbal agreement is, has some integrity with it. So there's a bunch of little nuances there, but the amount of planning and preparation that goes into supporting students and specifically international students to make these changes. And when I did ask, a number of students just before hopping on, some of them said like, yes, there are ways that we can even improve on that going forward, because this is, there have been policies that are just making some changes, making it a little bit more difficult, but there have been students who have had great success. Like one, Priyanshi, who I met in Delhi, just finished her internship at Amazon in Arizona. So we're, celebrating her.
Great, great to know that. So yes, sky's the limit. Get in touch again with the careers team well in advance before you once you get on campus and get started on that journey. Thank you so much, all of you, for your time. I'm now going to take a couple of questions from the audience Q&A. Professor Wang, I think you just answered the question that I was going to take, but I'm still going to take it up because a lot of times students do put that, hoping that you know they would get answers to it. So of course, the hot topic being AI, one of the biggest question on everyone's mind is what kind of industries are going to get affected? What does the future of jobs and roles look with the AI advent coming into the
Yes.
picture?
Yes, I'm sorry for jump the gun to answer the
No,
question.
no, no, please, please.
It's
Yeah.
a really good question. I just can't resist to answer it immediately when I say it. So the question is about what industry will be impacted by AI. And to me, I think the question is actually less about which industry being affected, but more about how quickly organizations within each sector adapt. All the industries will be impacted. But there are several industries, in my opinion, will see immediate impact, such as healthcare, finance, and mostly knowledge work. And those are the industries will see some of the most immediate and visible impact. And the big picture for me is that AI is becoming a general purpose technology, not just for one particular industry or field. So its influence will spread across different sectors and industries, from manufacturing to logistics to retail to education and beyond.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Wang. That was really helpful. Maria, I'm going to bring my next question to you, which is, of course, about we've spoken about the challenges that international students face when they come onto campus for the first time, in terms of cultural adjustment, difficulties, etc. What about international students who are looking for help with any sort of academic challenges, or let's say additional courses, etc., which they should sort of take on before they apply for any of the master's program that Weatherhead has to offer?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it's almost like two-part, like
Yeah,
what are the prerequisites that they should have, and then also
yes.
what are supports here. So I'm gonna answer part of it, and then I would love to hear from Professor Wong about just like how you work with students as well through this. So one of the things is most of our classes don't have any prerequisites that you would need. We did host a statistics class prior to joining, so there might be some pre-work. And for like our finance program, there are courses that are taken during orientation to help get everybody kind of at the same level. I think going forward, because our curriculum is shifting to include a lot of what Professor Wong was talking about around these leadership and interpersonal skills development as well, and professional development. So there will likely be, like, as long as you have a set of college algebra, some calculus, you've taken some probability and stats, I think those are the 3 types of courses that will help prepare you for the master's level. When you're here, there are plenty of resources. I usually ask students to go and talk to professors directly. And so that's why I want to bring in Professor Wong to talk a little bit more about, like, when students are struggling, how do faculty support them?
Yeah, and so at times we do see students are struggling with some basic or fundamental structures, or I would say the infrastructure parts of the AI technology, maybe some math, statistics. And my take on this is like, I don't think those are the roadblocks to actually shifting your focus or actually trying to apply AI in your own work. but I see those as opportunities. When you're actually struggling with a concept, for instance, yesterday we actually had a class talking about how do we use AI in fraud detection in finance. And one key concept we were discussing are a term we known as precision. And some of students are saying, I have never learned this before in any class in my statistics. How can I know what it is? Then we actually spent 10 minutes together to walk it through on a very intuitive level to a sense that all of the audience in the room can actually see what it means and how it is being applied. And then we can actually facilitate a further and a deeper discussion based upon your understanding. Because in reality, you don't have to be, not everybody has to be a data scientist, right? And
Yeah.
nobody wanted to actually using something to developing a new algorithms. Yeah, somebody might interest in that. But in the world of business, the point is you need to understand what it is and having a meaningful conversation. So when students are coming to us with these questions, my approach will be first, let's see if we wanted to having a intuitive understanding, a shared background on it. And this is typically an easy step. We can spending 10, 30, or even an hour to go over the concept so that everyone is on the same page. Second, we're going to see whether or not our students are actually have interest to take a deeper dive. If yes, then great. We can actually have several different classes for you to take. And some of them are in MBA level. Some of them are not even within Weatherhead, but we can actually facilitate the connection and put you into a computer science class, a statistics class, or maybe economics class to gain a deeper insight.
Wow. Thank you so much. And this is one example. Our professors have been like everybody that I've asked since I've been here and have worked here, like faculty are so willing to support and help and guide.
Thank you.
And
Thank
that's
you. That
part of
is
our job.
wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much, Professor Wang and Maria. That is super helpful. And I'm sure that does add a lot of confidence to people who are looking to apply as well. Celeste, I'm going to bring my next question to you. Someone has asked this about how does the xLab partnership model work with corporate leaders, actual practices, and what kind of opportunities does it open up for students at Case Western?
Absolutely. So we work directly, xLab works directly with corporate partners. So the whole process starts with a company comes to us with some type of business transformation or digital transformation challenge. And our team, me, Sining, and the other people you saw on that slide, we work together directly with the company to kind of help them shape out their challenge so that it'll be interesting and challenging for our students, and so that it can be done in that 15 weeks, because all of the xLab projects are 15-week semester-based projects. And then we have a project brief, and the student team is given that project brief during the very first week of the semester. So that's a one-page about what the project is about. And then from there, it's on the students. The students work directly with the company. They'll usually present to the company during the first few weeks. They'll take that project brief and kind of roadmap out what they want to do for the rest of the semester. Each company that works with us has a designated point person, but they are also encouraged to bring in their larger leadership team. So they might bring in, and we work with a lot of different departments. I can't even say that we have a set department at companies we work with. I wish we did. It would make my job so much easier. But we're working with the talent teams, the people that are looking directly to hire students from our projects. We're working with the digital innovation teams. We've worked with the marketing teams. We've worked with campus innovation teams, companies that are just a team dedicated to just going and finding the cool stuff that's happening on college campuses. But they bring in people from all of these other departments then as well to talk to the students, to be available for the students to talk to ask questions to, and then also to present to the students. And then, like I mentioned before, just organically, naturally, students are hired from these projects. As they're talking to the companies and making those connections, the companies can tell them about their own internal processes for getting a job. Let them know that the internships have opened up, or that they have a specific opening for a job that they think this student will be interested in. And it very often happens just that way. We very often have students who are hired from these projects and making those connections with the companies.
Great, thank you so much, Celeste. That's very helpful. It's on the go as you're going, you're building, you're learning, and you're getting to network and work with a lot of different companies. Super interesting. Maria, I'm going to bring my next question to you. It's from Dishit Kumar, who wants to know what type of scholarships or assistantships are usually available for international students who are looking to apply.
So we have, so there's a number of ways to look at funding education all around. Specifically for international students, there isn't one set of scholarship funding that's available. So we look at basically like the broad whole, but most of our students do, if they apply for the application and they select that they would like to be considered for merit-based scholarship, they're usually granted some level of scholarship. So the way we look at scholarship is in three parts. So we look at academic readiness and preparedness, which usually comes in the form of like a GPA or a test score. We look at what we call leadership potential, which is kind of to what extent they've taken on engagement and within their undergraduate setting or at their workplace, and kind of to what extent they're leading initiatives or projects. And then the third is this idea of like a unique perspective and community alignment, right? So thinking about like the number one question we try to ask ourselves in admissions is, to what extent will our program, the community, the curriculum will have an impact on this candidate? And to what extent will this candidate have an impact on the community, the curriculum, and their outcomes, right? So we're looking at those three things as we're awarding scholarship. I would say that most students who apply for scholarship usually are granted some level of funding. We have seen international students, at least within our MBA, have like anywhere, I think somebody came in with 100% seed scholarship. So yeah, so look at our seed scholarships. And then also probably, you know, in some of our specialized masters, around 20 to 30% of the overall tuition can be covered. So just, you know, it fluctuates, but we're really looking at those three categories when we're awarding scholarship.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maria. Just to add on to that, as Maria mentioned, yes, Case Western Reserve University is also taking part in the State Scholarship Fund. There are 11 awards up for grabs. I have put down the link in the chat window. There are 8 awards for master's students and 3 awards for those who are looking to pursue a full-time MBA. Our deadlines are approaching soon. So if you could go, and yes, you are eligible to apply since you have attended the webinar today. So you are one of the lucky few who get to be a part of the Seed Scholarship Fund. So definitely do go and have a look at the details which are coming up. I know that we are just on time, but I'm going to take up one last question before I get into it. A lot of people have, of course, Celeste, Professor Wang, Maria, we've all spoken about this throughout the session today. But just to sort of sum it up, a lot of questions are still coming in from, what if I am someone who's not from a technical background, or I do not have previous knowledge in the AI industry as such? Are there any specific additional courses that I need to take up? Are there any prerequisites before I come onto campus and be a part of the xLab or take part in certain other projects and courses which are offered? So if you could just speak a little bit about that, I'm sure that would be helpful for most of the participants here today.
Yeah, Celeste, go ahead.
We, like Professor Wong talked about, we are building out our curriculum specifically for that, to give people who aren't necessarily technical or coders, to give them access to these different tools that we have, to get them hands-on with it and just give them a familiarity. You don't necessarily need to know how to code. I certainly cannot code, but I'm able to talk enough about it. And that's what we see with our leaders and our alumni who are leaving the school. They're going on to lead companies. They just need to have familiarity with it so that they can talk about it and help their teams make decisions for how it should be used and how it can help their company achieve their business goals.
Yeah, I agree with what Celeste have mentioned, and I think this is a very common question and a very common concern, of course. And the good news is that you don't need to take a long list of prerequisites, of course, before jumping into AI at Weatherhead. Our classes are designed to be accessible to all of our students, like we have discussed. But I do wanted to give you some, I would say, suggestions to get yourself more prepared. A little bit of statistics, a little bit of data analytics or data literacy, and a little bit of introductory programming. Those few fields will easily set you apart.
And those are all, I believe, courses that we offer here at Weatherhead. I know
Right.
We're offering an intro to programming. You mentioned the course that you are teaching, which I want to talk to you about later because I kind of want to take it. So those are a lot of courses that we are offering here.
Exactly. And you don't have to be an expert in any of them. We're not asking you to become a statistician, right? But maybe you know a little bit about descriptive and inference in statistics, a little bit of data literacy, and you know the basic codings in Python, maybe R, maybe any other language, so that you know how to communicate with the computer. That will be sufficient.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Wang, Celeste, Maria. Thank you so much for your time and for taking all our questions. Thank you to everyone in the audience. We still have around close to 240 odd students who are still with us. Thank you everyone for joining in. I'm sure this has been an extremely insightful session for everyone. It definitely has been for me. Maria has been kind enough to share quite a few links in the chat window. So please bookmark those or save those if you need. And if you have any questions or queries, you can get in touch with us at Seed Global Education or reach out to the team at Case Western Reserve University. I wish all of you a wonderful rest of your wonderful Wednesday, if I were to say so, and looking forward to connecting with you all soon. Thanks once again. Good evening.
Very well.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank
Take care.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.